everyone! So with all of this newfound downtime that we have the opportunity to devote a little more time to homemade meals. There are a lot of really great cookbooks available for download on Hoopla, which is a service that may be accessed from the Great Neck Library's website. All you need to sign in is your library card. I thought it might be fun to share a recipe from one of these books with you to give an idea of how simple trying something new can be. Today, I'll be making Tofu Bravas, a recipe that comes from the book But I Could Never Go Vegan by Kristy Turner. It is a play on the traditional Spanish dish known as patatas bravas. So, our first step is prepping the tofu. I've already cut it into large cubes and placed it in a bowl. So next we are going to add our marinade ingredients. So we've got, they ask for fresh squeezed lemon juice. I don't have lemons, so we're going to use this. We're going to do 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. Let me squeeze that in there. So there's 1 tablespoon. And we need a 2nd tablespoon. My lemon juice bottle doesn't like to cooperate with me. Eyeball the rest because I need 2 hands for this. All right, that should be about 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. Next, we are going to add half a teaspoon each of onion and garlic powders. So here is the onion powder. Scoop out half a teaspoon, sprinkle that over our tofu. And our garlic powder, again, half a teaspoon. We're going to sprinkle that over our tofu. And I'm going to grind a little bit of sea salt and black pepper over the tofu as well. There's a little bit of salt. And a little bit of black pepper. All right, and that is all we need to add for our tofu. So now we are going to toss this around so that everything gets a nice even coat of our lemon juice and our spices. So we're gonna toss our tofu. All right, now while that sits, we're going to let that kind of rest up and soak in the juices a little bit. So while that sits, we are going to work on our Bravas sauce. So the first step for that, I'm going to turn you toward my stove here. I already have half of an onion chopped up. So we're going to put a little bit of EVOO in our pan here. I'd say about a tablespoon. And we're going to get a flame going and heat that oil a little bit. Get that oil nice and hot. And then we are going to add our onions. So we are going to be sauteing these until they are a little bit translucent. Sprinkle these into the pan, scrape out our excess. All right. So I'm going to move those around a little bit. All right, and I'm going to turn the flame down a little bit on that. So so that while those cook up, I'm going to bring us back over here to where we have our blender. So we are going to be adding the other ingredients for our Bravas sauce to our blender. So the other things that go into this, we have diced tomatoes, just 1 can. So I'm going to pour that can of diced tomatoes in our blender here, or food processor, blender. Same difference, I guess. And then we need about a tablespoon of vegan mayonnaise. Of course, if you're not vegan, you can use regular mayonnaise as well. I'm going to scrape in the bottom of the jar here. Add about a tablespoon of our vegan mayo. Put that in the sink. Now, the recipe calls for 2 to 3 teaspoons of sherry vinegar. I don't have sherry vinegar, but I do have white wine vinegar, so I'm going to use that instead. I don't think it'll affect the taste too much. So we've got 2 to 3 teaspoons of that. I tend to like vinegar, so I'm going to do 3 teaspoons. Okay. And then we need a teaspoon of paprika. Teaspoon of that in there. Before I go to my next step, I'm going to just stir my onions up a little bit so they don't burn. Alright, and those are just about ready. So next we are going to put in a 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. You can add a little bit more if you like a little bit more of a kick. Next, we want 1/2 teaspoon of, they're asking for agave syrup. I don't have agave on hand, so I'm going to use maple syrup instead. Either one is fine. They have about the same consistency, and they're both just for a little bit of sweetness. So we'll pop the syrup in there. And then we just add a little bit of salt and black pepper again to, just to your taste. So I like to add a little bit more pepper. And I'll add just a pinch of salt. All right, so our sauce ingredients are all in the blender except our onions. So these are plenty done. So I'm going to take these off the stove so you can see they're nice and translucent, even a little bit browned. And I'm going to add these to my food processor. Onion down. Just get all the onions on the spatula. Okay. Put that back in there. All right, and now we just put the lid on our food processor. And we are going to process this until the sauce is nice and creamy and smooth. to just scrape some of those onions off the side down into the sauce a little bit so that they can get ground up as well. So we'll process this just another 30 seconds or so. Okay, so now our sauce is complete. We are going to go on to the last step. I told you this would be easy. Doesn't take very long at all. So we are going to take our cubed tofu, and let me again bring you over to the stove here. I'm going to use the same pan that I did for the onions because no need to make more of a mess, right? So I'm going to add a little bit more olive oil. Again, I'm going to let that heat up a little bit. It's not going to take quite as long because the pan is already hot from our onions. I'm going to just spread the oil around. And I'm going to drop our tofu in. So I'm going to just give these about 2 to 3 minutes on each side so that they can get nice and browned. The recipe does actually say to coat the bottom of the pan with oil and really fry these up, but I don't like to use quite so much oil, so I'm doing just a much simpler, just a little bit of oil, a little bit of browning, not going to go too crazy with this. So, while our tofu is cooking, I'm going to just talk really quickly about the digital resource that I used to get this cookbook. So, again, it's called Hoopla. And it's not just cookbooks. They have lots and lots of digital resources for you to access. If you scroll down on our Facebook page, Justin gave a great talk about some of his favorite comic books and graphic novels that are available on Hoopla. There are other books, magazines, movies. There's all kinds of things. All you need is your library card, and you can just go to our homepage under books and other resources. There's a tab. That'll link you right to Hoopla. It's super simple to get to, and yeah, there's a lot of great stuff on it. So I'm going to finish browning our tofu, and then once the tofu is all cooked up, you can just put it on a plate and pour your sauce over it, or put the sauce on the side as a just a little dip for people to use. It's entirely up to you how you want to serve it, and enjoy!